What's the story on Smackdown, everyone? Tonight's topics are...
Miz. Did Miz apologize to Shane after this weekend's blow-up that happened at Elimination Chamber? Or was he a McChump? And is Miz like McFinished and McDone or McNot?
Or was he McChicken?
Or was he a McChicken? I mean, I don't know for sure.
The return of Asuka.
The Empress is not gone. She's back. She didn't fall off the face of the earth. She did not disappear.
Yeah, and she's not dead.
And she's not dead. That was another scenario we threw around.
And a challenger is announced for Daniel Bryan at Fastlane in March.
I will tell you right now, I was very happy with the decision that was made as to who his opponent is going to be.
All that and more coming up on the Wrestle Story.
It didn't work.
I've been holding on for so long, I can't remember.
Welcome back to the Wrestle Story, where we discuss all things wrestling, the icons of the past, the superstars or superstars of the present, and the trailblazers of the future. We stream every Monday night after Raw, every Tuesday night after Smackdown, and every Wednesday night after NXT, and after every pay-per-view.
Yep. And sometimes if you're lucky, you'll see us a couple extra times during the week, depending on what's happening in the world of wrestling. And when there's a pay-per-view, we normally do a predictions stream. So
stick around, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything, and hit the notification button.
Yep.
Oh, and make sure you like this video when you're done. Or dislike it, whichever you choose. Just make sure you let us know why you dislike it or dislike it.
Dislike it or dislike it?
Or like it or dislike it. Whichever you choose. I'm hoping you like it, but, you know, hey, whatever happens, happens. So we're going to start off talking about the show. We had Shane McMahon opening up the show. He talks about last night and how Raw was so good and how the NXT again. I messed up.
Superstars. Hold up. We're just going to change that right now. Instead of superstars, they're now going to be superstars. We're just going to make that a thing.
It'd be much easier for me.
Hashtag superstars. Let's make that a thing. So he comes out, talks about all the guys on NXT, and then he says, well, guess what? All those guys from NXT that were on Raw last night will be here tonight on Smackdown.
So at some point in time, we see Aleister Black, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, and of course, Ricochet.
Then after that, Miz came out, and he said, you know, Shane, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I haven't been able to sleep for 2 days, and I need to get this off my chest. And so he comes up, and he gets in the ring, and he's talking all about how I let you down, and we lost the championships, and this was your dream. You wanted to be the tag team champion since you were a little kid. And then he goes, but Shane, I have something to tell you. I used you. I used you, and I used you.
Yeah, that's not good to use somebody.
So then he talks about his dad and how, you know, he used him just to get his dad to say, I'm proud of you and I love you or whatever.
Well, he talks about Shane's relationship with his dad, so...
Well, yeah, he said, you know, this is something that you can relate to because, you know, your dad is Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
How often does he tell you he's proud of you or whatever?
Yep.
So then after that, he says, you know, I want to make this up to you, but I know there is not an automatic rematch clause after we lose the championships. But you're Shane McMahon. You can make the match. Nobody has to tell you what you can and can't do. You run the company. And then we get interrupted. Then they get interrupted by the Usos. And the Usos come out and start talking smack about Shane and Miz. Both. What are your thoughts on this so far?
Well, the whole thing, I thought, the idea that Shane McMahon can make the match anytime he wants to, and he's like battling for the championship, I don't like that aspect of it. But I think all of this is leading up to Shane and the Miz splitting up.
Definitely.
Because I've said this before, if you've watched any of our streams, Shane McMahon does not. He beats his body up.
Yeah.
And that's the way he has good matches. So I don't even expect them to wrestle between now and Fastlane.
I don't either.
I think that you will see them. They may come out on the mic, but you're not going to see them wrestle at all.
I don't think they'll wrestle either. Just with the fact of how Shane wrestles, and he's not good if he doesn't do his high risk, stunts, jumping off of this, jumping off of that. Like, the match isn't interesting unless he does that, because Shane isn't a great wrestler without that.
So then he makes the match for Fastlane, and of course the Miz is happy about that and is excited about being able to wrestle at Fastlane with Shane McMahon against the Usos for the tag team titles again.
Yeah.
Then we have our next match, which was Aleister Black versus Andrade with Zelina Vega in the corner of Andrade.
I actually thought this was very funny because we talked about this last night. Andrade and Aleister Black matches and stuff.
Matching up against each other.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny that we talked about this last night and then it happened on SmackDown Live. I thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, it was a really good match. I thought it was an excellent match with, I think Aleister Black's going to have a shot at being a star.
I would 100% agree with that. Aleister Black is one of the best wrestlers down in NXT, and coming up, I think he's going to shake things up a bit, and, if they decide to keep him on there full time and not have him go back and forth between NXT and the main roster right now, if they just keep him on the main roster full time, I think he will for sure cause some trouble.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if they're going to keep him on the main roster. I did see a tweet earlier, and I don't remember who it was, that stated that there's going to be a big announcement at NXT on Wednesday.
I also saw that. I think it was Wrestle Cake.
So there's a possibility that they brought these guys up to get them exposure. And I
did see that Aleister Black does have a match on NXT this week.
Well, and so does
Johnny Gargano.
So I would say it's possible that this is all leading up to an announcement Wednesday at NXT that they are going to be moving to.
They're not only going to be on the WWE Network anymore, but they're going to have
Fox Network or FS1 or channel. some channel where they are actually where they should be exposed to a bigger audience.
Yeah.
Obviously, last night at Raw, I don't know how many of the people there had ever seen any of the NXT guys.
Yeah.
And then tonight, when they came out,
the crowd was
chanting NXT,
which
so if you ever watch NXT, you know that they do when they're always chanting NXT in the NXT shows.
And I said I put out a tweet. I said, well, it looks like the crowd here at SmackDown Live is more into the NXT up and coming group of people. You know what I mean? Like, they were just more into it than the crowd at Raw.
Yeah, the crowd at Raw really did, and part of that may just be in the venue, and people that just there obviously don't watch NXT much. So, that could have been part of the issue there.
Yeah.
So then we have the
up. Aleister Black did win the match.
Yeah.
Via pin. And then we have Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano interview backstage. Talking about their match that they have coming up next. And in the middle of their interview, they get interrupted by the Bar, which is who they have a match with. And the Bar comes in and essentially tells them, what are you? You guys look like a bunch of, like, wimps compared to us. And
Well, you don't realize how big Sheamus and Cesaro are until you see them standing next to somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty good. They're like monsters.
Uh-huh. So I thought it was a good, like, promo. Like, of them kind of bouncing back and forth off of each other. You know, Sheamus and Cesaro are the Bar, and Gargano and Ciampa both, or, well, I think it was Gargano who said this. He said, you know, you might set the bar, but...
We are the Bar.
No, he said, you might set the bar, but we are going to break the bar.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Or maybe they
Something
said,
like that.
maybe they said, we are the Bar, and he said, you might be the Bar, we're going to break the bar.
Yeah.
So then after that, they head to the ring for their match. No. Yeah.
No, yeah. No, yeah.
No, yeah, sorry. We have another promo in there in between. Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, and Kofi Kingston talking about their match they have later on in the evening, which is the main event. Then we have the Bar versus DIY. I'm calling them DIY because they might as well be DIY.
Yes. And that promo, it was kind of funny because New Day comes over. Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles are standing there talking, and they bring over a olive branch
Pancakes on
with
it.
pancakes on it, and said, "We would like to extend a pancake branch to you guys."
I thought it was funny.
And so, if you watch it, Jeff Hardy looks like he's about ready to crack up. He's like smiling at the whole thing, and so I think he probably thought it was pretty funny what was happening.
Yeah.
So they take a pancake off the.
And then they start eating
it off the pancake branch that was extended to them from the New Day.
I thought that was funny. Then we have the Bar versus DIY. And again, I think they need to bring back DIY as a full-time tag team, bring them up to the main roster, put them on the main roster, and add them to the tag team division. Because I feel like they number one, they shake things up. Number two, both of them work together so well. And three, they are really entertaining.
They are.
They keep the match going, and just when you think they're out of the running, it's like, ha! No, we're not. So, you know, I really think they should bring them up and keep them on the main roster as at least in the tag team division.
Well, I think you have to. I think that because the tag team division right now is just, it's
weak.
Sounding a broken record, but it's weak.
It's
and
weak.
So
and
bringing
it's
these guys up, if you're gonna have true tag team champions and have a true tag team division, I think you have to bring up some of the young talent, from NXT. And
I thought you were gonna say the Young Bucks at first. Bring up the Young Bucks.
No, they're on
and I
AEW.
was like, wait a minute.
It's tough to bring up the Young Bucks. They're on a different promotion. So I think that they need to bring up the younger talent and give them a shot to see what they can do to win over some things.
Yeah.
Having NXT, if the announcement is true that they are going to be going to network and not just the WWE network.
Well, maybe what they'll do is they'll
I think
extend their show out longer.
they will get more exposure that way. And the only problem with having an extended show is right now they don't have good storylines to fill up the shows they have.
On NXT?
On any of it. I mean, we've seen NXT. We've had a couple good shows of NXT, and we've had a show of NXT where it was
legit.
not good.
Legit. It was just replays of everything that happened at TakeOver. And that was the worst NXT show I'd ever seen in my life. But then they brought it back up with, good stuff and Velveteen Dream and everything that he's doing. So I get what you're saying, but I think what they should do is extend the show to at least another hour. I feel like an hour-long show isn't even enough to get in matches so then people can see what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Because right now on NXT, they have 2-3 matches if they're lucky on their hour-long show.
Yeah.
And personally, I would love to see more matches because then they can showcase more of the underrated talent, so to speak. So then we can see what they're capable of and see where they should go from here.
Yeah, and I hope they do. I mean, it's one of those things you hope they do, and we'll see what happens. So then they have a Ricochet promo.
DIY won that match, by the way.
Yes, have a Ricochet promo.
Promo video. It was really just showing like
highlights from his matches
yeah.
and stuff. Just trying to get him over to show what he does do.
Crazy stuff. Ricochet is NXT, like right now, they have really good wrestlers down there.
Yeah.
And Ricochet is one of them.
Yep. So then we come to the Asuka interview.
Asuka.
Finally, we find out Asuka is alive.
After like
She has not been kidnapped.
3 weeks or 4 weeks. Is this like going on 4 weeks? Well, Rumble
Probably.
was a month
It's
ago.
been a long time since we've seen Asuka. At least Asuka on SmackDown or Raw. I mean, anywhere for that matter. I know she was at a house show the other night, but
Well, after I saw her at the house show, I figured she's got to be showing back up on the main show, right? Like they wouldn't show a video with her in it and then not use her on television.
yeah. So she comes out and asks who is ready to fight Asuka next. Mandy Rose comes out to the ring and basically says
she like says, I'm the most talked about wrestler. I'm, the best. This is what you're given. Fight me. And so they end up having a match. It is a non-title match. I don't get why they did this match this way.
I have no clue. No clue at all. Mandy Rose ends up winning by pin.
But another thing in the middle of the match, we see Lacey Evans come out yet again. And she walks halfway down the ramp and then turns around. What are they doing with Lacey Evans?
I don't know. She seems to... I don't know if they're going to set her up to fight Asuka.
Well, those are some rumors.
But
is that she's going to have
the thing is
a match with Asuka.
She's been doing this for, 3 shows now?
Yeah.
Where she just comes down, turns around, and goes back up.
Oh, what are we going to see her on NXT tomorrow?
So
walk down to the ramp and come back?
So I don't know what she's doing. I mean, I don't know what they plan on doing with her. I do think that I would like to see her wrestle.
Yeah, because the only time we've seen her is in the Royal Rumble, and that was it.
Yeah, outside of that, she's been in NXT.
She hasn't had any single.
She hasn't done anything in Raw or SmackDown she shows up at Rumble and then hasn't been seen in weeks, and then all of a sudden you see her the last 3 weeks strolling down and then turning back around.
The last 3 weeks, the last 3 days,
or last 3 shows, strolling down and then turning around and going back up, and I mean they need to do something with her to try and get her over with the fans.
And I feel like she gets over with the fans decently now, but that's not without her even.
They're gonna get tired
wrestling.
of her just walking down and turning around and walking back up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is without her actually getting in the ring. Hi, Bendy. How are you?
Hi, Bendy.
But without her actually getting in the ring and actually wrestling, people are just gonna, like you said, get tired of it, and they're gonna not care anymore because it's the same thing. So I don't understand what they're doing that. Back to the Asuka and Mandy Rose thing. So Mandy Rose pretended that she has something was wrong with her eye after Asuka hit her in the eye with her knee.
Yeah, so she hits
the
her.
announcer seemed to like Lacey Evans. Yeah, I would agree with that. The announcer seemed to like Lacey Evans.
They definitely did. So then Mandy Rose is acting like her eye is hurt. She's holding on to it. Asuka comes over she's gonna not really attacking her, trying to help her more and Mandy Rose
she throws her into the ropes.
Yeah.
And then Asuka's like, whoa, what's happening here? And then Mandy goes for the pin and rolls her up. I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we giving Mandy Rose? Because she pinned her. What they're gonna do is they're gonna have her be the next in line for the championship.
Well, I don't care if they have her be the next in line for the championship. The issue I have with all of this is
Asuka's coming back from a big win at Royal Rumble.
And you haven't seen her for 3 weeks.
4 weeks.
However long it's been. It's been 3
Whatever.
weeks.
It's been almost a month. And she's coming back off of a big win at the Royal Rumble. She got Becky Lynch to tap out. And then you put her in this match against Mandy Rose, who first off isn't, in my opinion, isn't a great wrestler to begin with. The only thing that gets her by with anybody is like just her looks, and that's it. And so I don't get why they're putting them together.
I don't either.
It doesn't make any sense to me, especially off of what Asuka came off of, and a big win and retaining her title. It just doesn't make any sense. So Mandy Rose wins, and then we have a backstage interview with Charlotte. And she's talking about, her, real quick, her arm, there was,
she had a nice bruise from where she took a beating the other day from the...
Yeah, it was, huge. They did have it covered up some. It didn't look as bad as in photos that were released of her arm. But, where was I going with this?
Yeah, I don't know, you were talking about her arm being hurt. And it was covered up.
Charlotte. That's where I was going with this. She talked about the match with Rousey, and then she talked about how last night Triple H talked about how if Becky Lynch comes in the ring again or whatever, she's going to get arrested. And then Charlotte then says, I will press charges against her if she tries to even touch me yet again. So I'm curious to see where we keep going with this. I'm ready for next week with the Ric Flair birthday celebration, because you know Becky Lynch is going to be there. You know Charlotte's going to be there. You know something's going to go down.
Yep. Something will happen.
So then we have another Shane and Miz promo backstage, and Miz comes up to Shane and says, hey, I just got off the phone with my dad, and guess what? He's going to be there front row for our match at Fastlane in Cleveland, Ohio. So they made a promo out of that. Then we can hear the crowd from where the promo is being played on the screen, but we can hear the crowd, and they're yelling Mr. Miz, which I think is pretty funny. It's cool that they've kind of acknowledged Miz's dad, and they're chanting for him.
Yeah.
I think that aspect is kind of cool. Then we have Ricochet in action versus Eric Young from Sanity. I feel like we haven't seen much from Sanity. They're treating these new guys that are coming up like a bigger deal than the ones they didn't even really use the ones that they just brought up before.
What do you think about it? EC3, they didn't do much with him. Lacey Evans had done nothing up until the last 3 days. And she's done nothing the last 3 days. Mm-hmm. Nikki Cross is, at first, they were kind of giving her a push a little bit, and then you haven't seen her now for a couple weeks. She's made, there's been nothing with her. So
Sanity. And Sanity, the three guys from Sanity they brought up aren't doing much. They were supposed to be big bad guys down in NXT, and they're not now, so...
Yeah, so but they are giving Ricochet but like I said, I don't know if they're going to bring them up or if this is all to promote NXT, which is, we'll see what the announcement is. But
well, I mean, from the sound of it yesterday, it sounds like Ricochet is here to stay.
Well, I thought he was going to stay on Raw, and then he's at SmackDown tonight. So, I don't know what the plan is for them, and maybe it's just, trying to promote them for NXT, and they're going to have a big NXT show on, whether it's on Fox, USA, FS1, somewhere where they're going to get more exposure than just on WWE Network.
Yeah.
And if they do that, 205 Live doesn't get a big push. So maybe if they do that, maybe 205 Live becomes on WWE Network at least,
Well,
will become a bigger deal on...
because it won't be NXT won't be as hard to find.
Yeah. So I wonder if they will not give more of a push to the NXT or the 205 Live guys and have them be more focused on the WWE Network compared to what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Because they do have a 205 Live show right after Smackdown on the WWE Network.
Speaking of 205 Live, real quick, there was a tweet on Twitter. Obviously, that's kind of where you tweet.
Yes.
But WWE announced that, this is what the tweet says. It says, "This is a huge opportunity." At WWE Maverick reveals that there will be a single elimination tournament to determine the WWE Cruiserweight Champion Buddy Murphy's WrestleMania challenger. So there's going to be a tournament to determine who's going to face Buddy Murphy at Mania.
Yeah.
I actually really like Buddy Murphy. I feel like he should be moved off of the Cruiserweight 205 Live show and be put on the main roster. Because they do that with Kalisto. Kalisto's on 205 Live, but he's on the main roster too. So there's no difference there. So I think they should have him on the main roster more, and have him on 205 Live less.
I agree. I think that
because I think he's a really good wrestler. He's a lot of potential, and
he'd bring a fresh, just like all these NXT guys are, as a fresh face being brought up, and I think he would get over eventually. But we'll see what they're going to do with. We'll have to wait and see what the announcement is on Wednesday. If there is a big announcement, like there's a rumor, we'll have to see what the big announcement is and see where things go from there.
Yeah. So then we have a New Day interview backstage, talking about Kofi Kingston, and really it was just everybody on New Day.
Well, I thought it was cool how, and who's the announcer?
Kayla Braxton.
Yeah, so she's interviewing him, and she talks about over the last 7 days, and
oh yeah, they end up saying this hasn't just been over the last 7 days.
It's been over the last 11 years. That he's paid his dues and has worked hard and has got to this point, and finally he's getting his shot. So it was a solid interview.
Yeah, I love Kofi Kingston. I've said this over the last 2 days in our streams. I feel he's so underrated, and he deserves any push that WWE gives him. Because he 100% deserves it. He's been in the company for a really long time, and they haven't given him a big opportunity.
Yeah.
Like what they gave him at Elimination Chamber.
Well,
in a long time.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he deserves a shot, deserves a push. The crowd likes him. They need to give him a push, and I think that, giving him this shot, although I would like to have seen it at WrestleMania, rather than here.
Yeah.
Because then you get the big over at the big show if they would have him win.
Yeah. So then going from the New Day interview, we go to the main event, which is AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, and Jeff Hardy versus Samoa Joe, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan. This match, it was a lot of what we've seen over the last, several weeks, only divided into tag teams this time. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't like these matches where it's the same thing over and over and over and over again.
It's just like Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman.
It was a good match, I thought.
I would agree with that.
I just don't like the fact that they just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And they've got plenty of wrestlers to use in situations. So, why not use what you have and not use the same storylines and the same deal over and over and over again? I think people would be more interested if they didn't have this stuff happening over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe, bringing up these 4 guys from NXT, I thought maybe that's what the plan was, is to try and shake things up a little bit, change some things up. You get fresh new faces, some different storylines starting to be created. And I'm not sure whether they're going to do that or not.
So Kofi Kingston ends up getting the win for his team after he pins Daniel Bryan. Then Shane O'Mac comes out and then announces who Bryan's challenger is for Elimination Chamber. At first, I thought he was going to call somebody out from the back, just from the way, his vibe he was giving. He was kind of kind of looking, towards the back, so it kind of threw me off for a minute. And then he looked at the ring, and they showed all the guys in the ring, oh, come on, let it be me. Come on, this is my opportunity. This is my time. And then he announced that it's Kofi Kingston, and I was like, I was excited. Just because I said this a minute ago, Kofi Kingston legit deserves this opportunity. I think he's going to win the title, and then I think he's going to go to Mania to defend the title. He deserves it.
Here's what I don't like about it, okay? I think that what's going to happen is, if he does win it at Fastlane, he's going to turn right back around and lose it at Mania.
Probably.
And to get him a big push, I think they need to, or at least to get over with the fans, to kind of put it in, an icing on the cake of his career.
Yeah.
Not that he's going to retire tomorrow or anything like that.
But just so he can say that
they should have had him win it at Mania, the biggest event for WWE.
And maybe what they'll do is they'll have him lose. Now they say that doesn't sound right. Maybe they'll have him lose at Fastlane, and then he goes on to face him at Mania again.
I don't see them doing that, but with the way they've done things with Asuka, with back at Rumble with Becky Lynch losing to Asuka and then turn around and winning the Rumble. I don't know, they may do that. It's possible. But I don't think so. I think if he loses at Fastlane, his shot is done. I think what they'll do is Kevin Owens is coming back.
That's where I was going to go with this next. I had a thought.
You have a theory on what you think about Kevin Owens?
So they're doing all these videos of him where he's in his car, he's eating pizza and unhealthy things, and then he's talking about how whatever, working out, this, that, the other thing, and then he's being cheap and stuff. And so this popped into my head this morning, and I never thought of this, and I felt very smart. I was like, dude, this would be a way, if they're gonna do this and do Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens when Kevin Owens comes back. Perfect, that would make sense why they're doing with this with Owens.
The health nut versus the junk food dude.
Yeah. And I didn't even think of that until this morning.
I hope not, because I don't want Kevin Owens coming back and immediately getting a shot at the title. And if that's the way they're headed, I don't like them doing it that way. Because what are you telling these guys? What are you telling Kofi Kingston, who's been there, hasn't been hurt, hasn't had any issues? What are you telling him? What are you telling AJ Styles? What are you telling Dean Ambrose? What are you telling those other guys that have been there
the entire time?
Are you telling them, hey, go get hurt, go get in shape? If you're out of shape, go work out, and then come back and we'll give you a shot at the title.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that, because they really aren't building the storyline with it.
No.
And they don't have enough time now, I wouldn't think, to create a storyline out of...
Because if Kevin Owens shows up, it's going to be right before Mania.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think that there would be enough time to create... they could, I suppose. But, with the Kofi Kingston thing, I just like the idea of this Kofi Kingston thing with Daniel Bryan right now. And I think they should carry it into Mania. I would like to see Kofi Kingston win the title at Mania. Not going to happen because they're fighting at Fastlane, and I don't think he's getting another shot at Mania.
Maybe they'll surprise
So-
you. Maybe he'll retain his title at Mania.
He might. I mean, and maybe that the plan is to bring Kevin Owens back and have him fight Kofi Kingston at Mania.
I mean, there's
But
so
I
many
doubt
different
it.
variables.
I don't think that's what's going to happen.
I mean, I was glad to hear that Kofi Kingston is getting. I was uber excited to hear that Kofi Kingston is getting another shot at the title he very much so deserves. You know, I think he'll win at Fastlane, but like you said, he probably will lose it at Mania. So that'd be a little disappointing. I think the fans would be really disappointed.
No, Mr. Gleen's not going to make it. He's got sinus drainage, and it's going down his throat and making his throat itch. It's awesome.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. But yeah. So overall, it wasn't a bad SmackDown.
I would give this one a C at most. C or C minus.
Just expressing
Thanks,
my
Bendy.
concern.
I don't think that this was like a really good one.
I don't think there wasn't a lot that went on. Like last night at Raw, I think I think there was like a lot that happened, but tonight I feel like this is just kind of a lousy show compared to yesterday's Raw,
Yeah, I mean,
where there was a lot going on.
well, it's a lot different. There's
I mean,
a lot
I
of different,
understand.
There's a lot, you know. It's
I get it. One show is 3 hours, the other show is 2 hours, but still, like, you know what I mean? They could fit so much into 2 hours if they wanted to.
yeah, and I felt this one didn't have the same pop as last night, and maybe that's because the NXT guys
We're fresh.
were there yesterday, and then we turned around and watched them again tonight.
If they had the crowd that they had tonight at SmackDown yesterday, I think that would have made the NXT guys coming up like pop even more.
Yeah, I think it would have helped. Well, I think it would have helped them out tonight if they would have had a pop last night with the crowd. I mean, the crowd initially, you know, when yes, Aleister Black was
Aleister
awesome.
Black was a highlight of the show for
I love
me.
his entrance.
I do too. It's so cool. I was like, ah. I definitely think he's gonna be like one of the more spooky characters, like the Undertaker. Like he's gonna try and fill the Undertaker's shoes. He's not gonna be the Undertaker, but he's gonna like try and he's gonna be that like new spooky character, you know.
I've always said you had to have mic skills.
His entrance.
But
is
there's
amazing.
some wrestlers that just don't have. If you portray your character right, you don't have to have great mic skills. And
So do you feel
Aleister
Aleister Black is that way?
I think he has decent mic skills. I mean, but you don't hear a lot from him.
No. That's just like his character. He doesn't do a lot of talking.
His character, he plays his character well, and he's a solid wrestler. And so I think that he has a strong shot at being a superstar because of that. As long as he keeps this character.
I would agree.
Because I think he's really good with his character. I think that the crowd eventually is going to start liking it. And they were, you know, yes, he definitely is a silent type.
Well, that's like it's very similar to what the Undertaker was. The Undertaker didn't get on the mic.
The Undertaker didn't talk a lot.
No. So it's like along the same lines as that.
And I didn't think the Undertaker was a super great wrestler.
It was just his
but
persona.
his character, like, was bigger than life, and it made everybody love the Undertaker's character. And so when you have that, I think it makes you get over with the crowd. And you don't necessarily have to have the great mic skills or the great wrestling ability to be a superstar.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I'm curious to see where they go with Shane and Miz, what they're going to do with that. Do you have any further thoughts on that, on what you might see them doing, aside from them splitting them up?
Nothing other than what I've said before. I don't see... I suppose there's a possibility they win the titles at Fastlane and then turn around and lose them at Mania. And the reason here's why I think they may win him at Fastlane.
Well, Mrs.
They made a
Dad
big
is
deal
gonna
about
be
Mrs. Dad being there. I think that they win him at Fastlane, and Miz goes and cries and gives his dad a hug and brings him to the ring or something, and does kind of like he did before, and then I think they end up losing them at I thought WrestleMania is where they'd have their big match, but I think they'll
Maybe
win
they'll
at
stretch it out to
Fastlane,
SummerSlam.
lose at Mania. That's a long time for
Or
Shane
Payback?
McMahon to not wrestle.
Maybe Payback.
I don't know, because he, like I said, McMahon's got to wrestle. You can't just go, 3 months and, well, I suppose you could if you're Brock Lesnar. So you just can't do it. You can't go that long without wrestling and expect to keep the storylines going. And because, like I've said this before, the way Shane beats his body up when he wrestles, he cannot wrestle, every weekend or every week.
Well, maybe that would be why they stretch it out
every
to,
2 weeks or every 3 weeks or whatever, because he does the high risk stuff where he runs the potential of being hurt and being hurt seriously.
So I don't know if they'll retain titles. I don't know if they're gonna win the titles back at Fastlane. I mean, if they do, I'll be surprised. But maybe what they'll do is, they're making a big deal out of Mrs. Dad being there. But then Shane and Miz don't end up winning the titles. And then, for whatever reason, maybe it's Shane's fault or something, they don't win. And the Miz then, goes and blames it on Shane and is like, my dad was there. You embarrassed me. How could you? I thought we were supposed to be partners. How could you do this? And then he decides to turn on him. And then they turn that into something for Mania.
They might. I mean, I don't know. Since his dad's going to be there and they're making a big deal about him wanting to impress his dad and everything, I think that they will.
But they already did
They
that.
did, but you notice that the Miz is like, I'll let everybody down. I'm like, so I think that they'll let him win again.
I don't know. Asuka, I don't know what they're going to do with Asuka from here. Probably Mandy Rose at Fastlane, and then after that, maybe Lacey Evans for Mania.
If they need to get Lacey Evans in some matches so people can see her and not just see her walking down the aisle and then turning around and walking back up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
I mean, she hasn't done anything other than walk down the aisle and turn around and walk back.
Yeah.
So I think they need to get her in some matches so people can see what she has, see what type of talent she is.
I would agree with that.
And see where she goes from there.
I would agree with that. I think about the only other thing would be Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston.
And we've talked about this, a lot.
We did.
About where we think it's going to happen and what we'd like to see, what we think will probably happen.
Kofi wins at Fastlane, goes to Mania, loses his title.
Yeah.
To who? Don't know.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
And then tomorrow night, we'll see if there's a big announcement tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do on NXT tomorrow. I'm very intrigued. And I'm wondering, we going to get NXT on a big network? Are these NXT guys going to stay in NXT or go and stay on the main roster? Or what's happening?
Yeah.
I've thrown around thoughts for that about Johnny Gargano maybe losing his championship tomorrow night to Velveteen Dream, and then they put him on main roster full time. But if this is all something just to hype up NXT, then maybe not.
And maybe they're going to start doing some cross-promotional stuff, which was what I'd like to see them doing anyway.
Maybe that's the big announcement. Maybe it's not
more...
even that they have NXT on a network. Maybe it's that they're getting ready to announce that NXT is going to do cross-promotion with WWE.
Well, I would like to see more cross-promotion across everything with Raw, SmackDown, and because I think it would create more storylines and better storylines, and you get more people involved that are on the roster rather than just seeing the same people week in and week out and doing the same things over and over and over again. But with 5 hours of wrestling... you would think that they'd be able to get more people involved.
Yeah, but between the 2 days.
They could cut out some of the promo videos that they show.
Well, and like, I don't get it. Like last night, they took up some time. It was maybe in total like 5 minutes. Each video that played for the Brock Lesnar thing was like probably around 2-3 minutes. So, I mean, between the two of those, it's like...
Well, and then tonight, you know, they showed the Kevin Owens video last night, and then they turned around and replay it tonight. It's not like you may get a few people different from that are watching SmackDown, different from what are watching Raw. But overall, I think you probably have the same audience.
Yeah.
So you just showed the same video to the people again. Bendy Boy Gaming, it will be interesting to see who they feature on NXT if those guys stay with Raw and SmackDown a while.
I don't know who they would feature.
I have no clue because...
I mean, you have Velveteen Dream, you have the Undisputed Era.
I thought they were going to bring Velveteen Dream up.
I thought they were going to too. Those are about the only two big names right now that are still down in
Adam
NXT.
Cole and the Undisputed Era. And my talking is really good tonight. I got a superstar.
And an Undisputed Area.
I don't know what they're going to do with them. I don't know. No clue what's going to happen with that, but
I like Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. I wish they would bring them up to the main roster.
And NXT again, they need to promote more of their wrestlers. I hope they bring up Bugenhagen.
Yeah, dude. He's amazing. He is so funny.
I don't know how amazing he is, but I love his intro and I love his character.
That's what I'm saying. He's amazing.
The big thing is, again, there's another one. If
you've never seen him, he was on NXT. Was it last week? Or was it the week before?
Yeah, who is big on NXT without Jenny? Velveteen Dream and
Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. That's about it.
And outside of that?
I mean, I guess you have the women's division, which is Kairi Sane and Io Shirai. And I did see, there was a tweet. I think it was a tweet. Maybe it wasn't a tweet. Maybe I just saw this somewhere. Maybe it was on the WWE Network. That they did put out a thing that says Raw Women's Tag Team Raw Women's. I do that every single time. The Women's Tag Team Championships will go around from Raw, SmackDown, and even NXT. So
maybe they're going to do cross
We could see Sasha Banks and Bayley down on NXT again, or we could see depending on what it is, we could see NXT guys come up to the main roster.
Again, I think that doing cross...
Which is where it would make sense if they're getting ready to do cross-promotion.
Well, with cross shows, it gives you more options on where you can go with storylines.
Exactly.
And you don't just have, these are on Raw, these are on SmackDown, these are on NXT, we're just going to keep it this way. And even bringing in Live 205 guys, I mean, obviously they're going to start to give Buddy Murphy a push, or at least that division a push, hopefully. So, they're going to be at Mania, which I know, they're at a lot of pay-per-views, but
Mania's the big one.
I feel that those guys
I think if they're going to put them on Mania, they're going to put them on the pre-show.
There are matches that should be on the pre-show before, like, the Live 205
the
Cruiserweight Championship
match
matches.
That we saw at Elimination Chamber should have been on the match card.
I agree.
It shouldn't have been on the pre-show.
I forgot about the Pirate Girl, so that's her.
Yeah, Kairi Sane.
Yeah.
Kairi Sane is the Pirate Girl. And Io... and Io Shirai is the one that has, like, the tiger mask. I love both of them. So, yeah. Kairi Sane, that's her name.
Yes.
Where was I going with my thoughts?
No thoughts.
I don't remember.
No clue.
I don't remember where I was going because you went.
Bendy. Ha! Well, Bendy forgot the. She's so memorable. I forgot her name.
Cruiserweight. That match at Elimination Chamber should have been on the match card on the actual show. They could have, if they wanted a match on the pre-show, they could have thrown something together. But that's about it.
Well,
I think it's more so just to hype up the pay-per-view that they're about to see.
Because they have.
But I don't know how many people actually watch the pre-show.
Okay, but they have an hour-long pre-show, right?
On top of a 4-hour-long pay-per-view.
And
sometimes 5 hours.
They have one match in the hour-long pre-show. why don't they knock the pre-show down to a half hour and then lead off with your cruiserweight wrestlers starting off the show, at the regular time and put them up on the big stage so everybody gets to see them.
Yeah.
Because the pre-show, they're really not being watched. If you look at the pre-show and watch when they have matches, and you look in the crowd,
there aren't even many people in the building yet.
There's still people coming in the building, and they're not there. They're not there to see them. You have a handful of people there watching them, and so putting those guys on, and I hope this is where they're headed with this, is putting the live 205 guys on, like, the beginning of the pay-per-views, so then they can be pushed that way.
Yeah. I don't know. But I definitely think the cruiserweight division should be looked at more and not be so overlooked.
Yeah,
because they have some talent on there that's really good, and I just don't know. I think they should look at it and use them more.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Than what they're doing right now.
They should use them a lot more than what they're doing now. And I think it would help out the whole, like, every brand. I think it would help out Raw. I think it would help out, and doing the cross promotion stuff, I think would help out a lot too.
Hey, notice how there wasn't. Okay, well, that's a lie. I was gonna say, notice how there wasn't a women's match tonight, because I was thinking of the tag team division.
Yeah,
and how
Asuka lost.
Yeah, Asuka lost.
How could you forget that?
I don't know, but
see, Asuka shows up, and you forget she's even shown up.
But it wasn't a great match, so it wasn't like the outcome wasn't what I would have
expected.
But,
yeah.
But I was thinking about it. I was like, we didn't see any Naomi and Carmella. We didn't see any, Iconics. We didn't see any of them coming off of Elimination Chamber talking about how they didn't win or anything. And normally that's kind of what we see after pay-per-view is we see,
Well, I think the big thing that happened tonight was, and the big thing they tried to get across was the Shane, the McMiz and Uso storyline, the pushing of the NXT stars.
And Kofi Kingston.
And then the Kofi Kingston deal at the end.
Yeah.
I think those were the big things they were trying to push. They got them across.
I think they're saving everything with, we saw Charlotte in an interview. Last week she opened the show. I'm thinking they're saving all the Charlotte, Becky, Rousey stuff for Raw.
They will do more. Well, and I think they will do more stuff
next week
as we get closer to Fastlane, and even as we get closer on farther down the road to WrestleMania.
I said this earlier. I think we're going to see stuff go down next Monday at the Ric Flair birthday celebration thing on Raw. So they're saving that storyline for then, which is understandable because Rousey's on Raw, and she's the women's champ on there, so it almost makes more sense to put it on Raw than to really focus it on SmackDown.
Yeah, that's
because there is no Rousey.
But they've been doing
SmackDown.
Kind of the focus on SmackDown Raw up until now. So, like I said, I think tonight was the main focus were the things I had hit on there.
Kofi and Shane and Miz and
so
NXT.
I think that's what they were focused on. That's what they did. That's what they got across. And so, if that was the plan, they did a good job of promoting their NXT, doing the Kofi push, and then just the storyline with McMiz.
Yeah.
The only thing out of all of that was the Asuka thing. But even with all of that, knowing that was their plan with, getting those storylines over, I still think that this was one of the weaker Smackdowns that there has been
in a while.
And so I wasn't really super impressed with what went on.
I wasn't either.
And some of that I think they could have made better by putting some of those NXT stars against other people.
Yeah.
I think some of the people they matched them up with. I thought the bar was pretty good.
But Ricochet and Eric Young from Sanity,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
it almost doesn't make sense to me because there's other guys. They could have paired them up with, right now off the top of my head, I'm thinking Rey Mysterio. But somebody that's like bigger on SmackDown. Rey Mysterio might have been cool because they're both very.
That would have been a cool match.
Very like flippy
Athletic,
and athletic. That would definitely be a really cool match. So they should have done that with Ricochet. The bar and DIY match was really good, but then and the Aleister Black and Andrade match wasn't bad either. But it's like
if they create a storyline out of it, it could be cool.
It could, but it just as like a regular match.
But as the way the way they did it with these guys, there was no like pop or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, you had some of the crowd yelling NXT. There's still probably a lot of people
who don't know who any
don't
of
even know
those
who these guys are. So
are.
they come to watch a show, and they're going, Aleister Black.
Who's
that guy?
Buckets is that?
Tommaso Ciampa?
Ciampa?
Who's that
what
guy?
The Buckets? I don't know who he is either.
So there's still those people that have no clue who the NXT stars are.
Well, I think people might know who Johnny Gargano is just because he was in the Rumble.
Well, he was in the Rumble, but he got knocked out pretty quick. I mean, they've just brought nobodies in before to do knocked out at the Rumble, so they're like, oh, here comes another nobody, so that's cool. That guy got knocked out, so...
Yeah.
So I don't think they've done a good job of really promoting these guys and pushing them.
Yeah.
So I think we've pretty much covered everything for tonight.
The only unquestionable thing that happened was Lacey Evans.
Yeah, and what they're doing with her, I would assume they're going to set up a match with Asuka.
I'm thinking they're going to do Asuka and Lacey Evans at Mania.
I don't know because she really didn't say anything. She didn't do anything. She just came down and turned around and walked back.
She's been doing that since she came to the main roster.
Yes. So I don't know.
I don't either. Curious to see what they do with her. We'll probably see on Raw next week, Rock walking down the ramp. Ric Flair will be in the middle of a sentence or a musical hit, and she'll just walk down the ramp and be like, I'm here.
Maybe,
bye, guys.
Well,
and then
the
walk
weird
back.
thing is thinking about it because Ric Flair always would come down the aisle, strutting and everything. Maybe they will set something up with
Evans and Flair?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's a possibility too. The funny thing is, real quick, another thing. I noticed that on Raw, maybe this is just coincidence, but Ronda Rousey's outfit, it reminded me of Lacey Evans. It was navy blue, high-waisted.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
It was Ronda Rousey. She had her outfit reminded me of Lacey Evans. It was navy blue high-waisted shorts, and then just a white sports bra top, which I don't know. It reminded me of Lacey Evans. Maybe that's just me.
Bendy, maybe she is sizing up her possible opponents. That's possible. Well, although yesterday when she came out, it was War Machine. No, Heavy Machinery.
Yeah, Heavy Machinery.
Heavy Machinery was standing there when she came out, so is she sizing them up? That's possible. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe they'll do a 3-on-3 match with another tag team in Lacey Evans, or another tag team with another woman.
They need to get her in a singles match just so she can, show off her talents and things like that.
I would agree with that 100%. But knowing WWE, they'll do something like that. Well, they'll put her in a 3-on-3 match, 3-on-3 mixed tag team match, and it'll be yeah.
All right. I think we will end our stream now. Just a reminder, we stream every Monday night after Raw, every Tuesday night after Smackdown, every Wednesday night after NXT, and then we will stream after every pay-per-view. We will also stream with generally the Friday or Saturday before a pay-per-view.
And sometimes,
to give our previews and predictions.
And sometimes if you're lucky and there's new wrestling news, wrestling information, all things that have to do with wrestling, we'll do another stream to talk about rumors.
Yes, if there's a big story that comes out. I know we did a stream about AEW. So, just pay attention. Check out our channel. Give us a like. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, be sure you do that. and click the little notification bell so you'll be notified every time we go live or we upload a video.
I will say, if you give us, whether you give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, let us know what you like or dislike about the stream, so then we can try to fix it, make things better. We want to entertain you guys, and so
you can also find us both on Twitter. I am at Maven Gleen.
We together at Gleen Network. I am at Mr_Gleen on Twitter.
So if you ever have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, you can also find us on there and tag us in any tweets. Just hit us up.
And we will answer
anything
as soon as possible.
Yep. So I think that's it for today. We will be back tomorrow for NXT recap and review. Very curious to see what happens. Can't wait to see how the Johnny Gargano and Velveteen Dream championship match goes down. So make sure, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we're up tomorrow. I think we will see you then.
We will see you the next time we see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Bye.